Hi, and welcome to Read Becca. Today I've got 3 children's books for you. The first is a middle grade, and it is the current Newbery Award Medal winner for 2021. If you missed my backstory on this, I read When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Nevo and was looking for more Korean tiger mythos, and I stumbled upon the fact that there was a current children's book out and was interested in the fact that it had the same element of tigers and storytelling. So this book, When You Trap a Tiger by Keller, follows Lily, who is biracial. Now, her older sister Sam, who is a teenager and quite moody, and her mother are moving from California to Washington, and the girls don't yet know that the reason for their sudden move is because their grandmother is sick. So as they're driving on the road to her Halmoni's town, Halmoni is the Korean word for grandmother, she realizes that she can see a tiger, but no one else can see it. So she kind of keeps it to herself and doesn't tell anybody, but when they get there, she lets her Halmoni know, because her Halmoni is very on board with superstition and whimsy, and she's just a very strange and curious woman. So Halmoni, of course, believes her and also tells her that, oh yes, the tigers are after her because she stole some stories from the tigers long ago. So obviously Lily doesn't really know what to do with this, but as she starts to find out about the fact that her Halmoni is ill, things increasingly are going wrong with Halmoni, and it's undeniable to the girls that she's very sick. And we learn that she has brain cancer, and so obvious warnings for that, warnings as well for that having effects that appear like dementia. And so the tiger offers her a deal. But tigers here are very well-known tricksters. They're known to lie, so you never trust a tiger. But Lily does not feel like she has any other option. So the tiger has offered her the deal that if Lily will return the stolen stories, the tiger will make her grandmother well. So Lily doesn't feel like she can do anything else. She doesn't feel like she should trust the tiger, but she has to do everything she can to help her Halmoni. So she starts returning the stories. And the way that this is broken down, it is her actually releasing part of a story, and then the tiger tells that chunk of the story. And the story begins with 2 sisters, Eggy and Anya, who are fleeing from a tiger. And in order to escape from the tiger, they make a deal with the sky god. And the sky god elevates them away from the tiger, but then they're stuck as the sun and moon, away from each other forever. And so this story is expanded out into something much more than that, but that's kind of the starting point for it. So from this story, we find a lot of analogs to the girls, Sam and Lily, and then also to the history, the generational history of their family. So the tiger, I think, is a very interesting storytelling tool here, because it very much symbolizes and is a direct corollary to the fact that Lily is dealing with this just terrible and terrifying thing that she feels like she can't talk to anyone around her about, with what's going on with her grandmother. So I think that is a really smart way of handling this. And then as well, there is a major plot focus on change. So Lily and Sam in particular, their relationship has always been very same. They've both played very specific roles throughout their lives. Sam always calls Lily QAG for Quiet Asian Girl, and Lily isn't so much fitting into that mold anymore, and she is trying to fight back and take some power, and she's not sure she wants to be a QAG anymore. And so we have a very big theme of that with the fact that their father had died in the past, and so she doesn't know if she wants change. But she has these conversations with her sister, her mother, and her Halmoni all throughout this, and kind of has these growing realizations that there is always going to be change to relationships, to people. You don't always fit a mold, and you can't always follow the story that you're telling yourself. So I think that was a very great and mature theme for such a young middle grade book, and I think it was handled really well at an age appropriate level. So I loved that. I also thought that there were some really wonderful representation. Like I said, we had single parents. We also had the sister Sam as well has a girlfriend toward the end, and I think that was handled really well. And like I said, we have a deceased father. We obviously are dealing with illness here, and we have a mother of one of their friends who has left. So there are a lot of hard conversations that I felt were dealt with at a appropriate level and really respectfully. There also was really fantastic handling of the Korean culture. There's a lot of really great food descriptions in this, so don't read on a hungry stomach. I definitely have since gone out and gotten some kimchi, so that was really good, and I think I would have liked to see a little bit more detail in the history in the book, but there was an author note after the book that went into more depth specifically on that item, so I think that was handled really well. So overall, this was a 4.5 to a 5 star. It was really fabulous. I think it is probably the best mid-grade I've read this year. So next up, I read 2 picture books, both by Beatrice Blue. The first one I picked up, I had originally been looking at the second book and then realized there was an earlier book in the series, so I read Once Upon a Unicorn's Horn, and this story is all about a little girl named June who wanders in the woods, and she comes upon some magical flying horses. But she notices one of the horses is very sad and he can't fly. So she goes back to her parents, and they don't think they have any suggestions to help him, but they decide to tell her that she could try and cheer him up. So she decides to help her friend by cheering him up with an ice cream cone. So she takes an ice cream cone back into the forest to her magical flying horse friend, and she trips on the way, and it goes flying right onto his nose. And so that is how magical flying horses became unicorns. So I think from a story perspective, it was fine. It was a very cute children's book. But I think there was a pretty big miss because this seemed like such a perfect opening for a deeper conversation. And it really could have gone into something about difference and disability acceptance. It could have gone into encouraging him to explore other skills that were different from the rest of the flying horses. So there were places that could have gone that were maybe a little more interesting to me as an adult, and I think would have been more nuanced, but it was fine. The second book, I think, did that actually really well. So the second book is Once Upon a Dragon's Fire, and this one is all about a village where they have always told stories about the dragon. And the dragon is this big, ominous evil to the town. So Freya and Silas have always loved hearing the dragon stories, and no one has ever actually seen the dragon though. So one day there is a major storm threatening the village, and Freya and Silas think that it must be the dragon's fault. So they climb the mountain and find the dragon and realize the dragon isn't really so scary and evil. It's actually a cold, lonely ice dragon. So they decided to make up some news stories about the dragon, saying that the dragon is so kind and good, and that warms the dragon and it becomes a fire dragon, and so it comes down the mountain and warms the village and saves them through the storm. So I love those themes. I think that was a really age-appropriate way to handle some more deeper conversations, and I loved the artwork. So For both books, I would say artwork is a 5-star for me. It is very similar to artists like Jen Wong and Katie O'Neill, if you like them. So I really liked that, and the second book definitely put me on following this author for more of their work, because I think that it could be heading in more of a direction towards something like the Tea Dragon Society, where we do include a diverse cast in the second book, and we include some more nuanced themes. So I would give the first one a 2.5 and the second one a 4-star. So that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed hearing about these books. If you've got a young reader, or if you yourself enjoy reading children's books like I do, hope you will pick up these books. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe.